I grew up in Ann Arbor and I went to undergrad at Grand Valley State University and I studied biomedical sciences and cell molecular biology, and so I had a very strong science background. And growing up, I always was taught to help others and to treat others as you would like to be treated. And growing up in a family where there were a lot of medical problems with a lot of my relatives and seeing the suffering that they had to go through, it made me want to give back to others and help others and do as much as I can to prevent that suffering. And so growing up, it always was a strong family feel of, helping others and making sure that they're doing well. And so that kind of made me want to become a doctor.
My path to medicine was I was a corrections officer for the local sheriff's department, and I was working midnight shift. So the nurse at the sheriff's department asked me if I wanted to join the fire department in my hometown, which is Charlestown, Ohio, because I would be home during the day when most of the firemen were at work, so I'd be able to respond to calls during the day. So I joined up, and to be a fireman, you have to go through at least first responder school. And in that school, you learn mostly how to just put a bandage and pressure on something until somebody who knows what they're doing gets there. But I loved it. I was hooked. From there, they sent me to EMTB school, where I learned just a little bit more about medicine. And I loved being on the fire department and interacting with people, especially in my hometown, people from like my church or people who I would see just around town. And then being able to help them in their time of need. It was just a really neat interaction with people. I loved how, even though they were very quick interactions, they were still very profound. And medicine is what allowed me to interact like that with people and help people. So I really enjoyed medicine. I enjoyed what it did for people, other people, as well as what it did for me. So I decided I would go to college and do pre-med because I thought, this is easy. I might as well become a doctor. I got through about a year and a half at Kent State down in Ohio and ran out of money. So I decided to become a paramedic because that was a little bit cheaper and my fire department would send me to paramedic school. So I became a paramedic and I spent about 10 years as a paramedic, a little less than 10 years. And medicine allowed me to go all over the country. I went from Nome, Alaska down to El Centro, California. So I've run ambulance calls and everything from a sled dog to sand rail down in California. But medicine has also allowed me to, up in Alaska, meet my wife. And then down in California, she finally talked me back into going to school and finishing out my degree. So in San Diego Christian College down in California, I finished up my bachelor's degree and applied to medical school.
So I didn't really know I wanted to come into medicine until a little bit later in my life. I'd grown up very artistic, very into art. And then I unfortunately had to experience a loss of both my father and brother in high school. And my brother actually went through the Beaumont Health System when he was hospitalized in the ICU. So I spent a good week there. And I felt that my time in the hospital was tough and it was really hard to deal with. And I started kind of realizing that the hospital environment wasn't comfortable for me until I met with his doctors and saw how well they did with his treatment, how they were able to prolong his life for our family. And that really changed my vision of what I wanted to do with my future. After watching my brother pass away, I really wanted to come back to Beaumont for a positive reason. So at that point, I really had been set on becoming a physician.